Hello guys, this is Paul McWhorter from TopTechBoy.com, and we are here today with lesson number 1 in our fabulous new series of tutorials where you are going to learn artificial intelligence on the Jetson Nano. I will need you to pour yourself a nice big mug of iced coffee. A big one, because today is going to be a long lesson, all right? What my goal is for today is to get you to the point that we have the Jetson Nano assembled, we have the memory card flashed, and we have the system booted. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go together, we're going to go through that together. Now most people, they will begin a download and pause, begin a download and pause. What we're going to do is we're just going to let it run. And we're going to kind of go back and forth. We'll start a download and then come over and work on the physical assembly, start another download, do the physical assembly. So my goal is to just do this thing straight through. Finally kind of have it figured out, and I've got it figured out well enough that I can teach you how to do it. This is the problem that I have found with the area of artificial intelligence. Most of the educational material out there assumes that you are already a PhD computer scientist who maybe has a tenured position at MIT. The problem is it's a very hard area to break into because the instructional material assumes that you're already an expert. So I'm going to develop this series based on the assumption that you are a smart person, a hard-working person, but someone who doesn't know anything about this field. So we're going to start absolutely from scratch, and hopefully your experience will be a little bit better than mine. Hopefully your experience will be a happy and easy and fun experience. Okay, now what will help is it will help if we are working on identical hardware. So if you look at the description down below, I have links to the hardware that I am using, and so life is easier if we are using the same hardware. Also, I want to thank you guys that are helping me out over at Patreon. Look down in the description, there's a link to my Patreon account. If you can help, go over, check it out, maybe hook a brother up. It would be greatly appreciated. But enough of this nonsense. Let's jump in and see if we can get started on this. So give me a second here to find the proper window. All right, this looks pretty good. What we will do is we will start here at a Chrome browser, and where I need you to go is we need to go to search on Jetson Nano getting started. Okay, and I got to tell you, you got to be careful and make sure that you're getting to the same place that I am, because the NVIDIA site has more than one image for the Jetson Nano. You got to make sure that you're on the same one I'm on and that we're working together. So we go to this first link, which is Getting Started with the Jetson Nano Developer Kit, NVIDIA Developer. So we're going to click on that. And you come to this page, which is where we want to be. It tells you a little bit about the Jetson Nano. Of course, we're just going to skip all that. Man, guys, I'm bad about not reading the instructions. Do you ever see these videos like the unboxing and review videos that people do where they come and they have like this beautiful overhead camera and they've got this perfect little mat, and some of them even have their fire extinguisher there, like maybe as they're going to take out the Nano, it's going to catch on fire or something. And so those guys, I'm not that guy, man. I go to the post office, my Nano came in, I ripped the box open right in the post office and I started taking the parts out and everything and looking at it, and then I run out to the car and I get home and I try to put it together, but I can't find the screws because I left them in the post office. Go back, digging through the trash can in the post office trying to find it. You see, that's how I operate. So I'm not even going to pretend to have a neat little mat to unpack this thing on. I'm not even going to pretend that I haven't already unpacked it, okay? But I am going to go through it together with you, and we're going to get it figured out today. So we come down here on this Getting Started, and we come down to the bottom. And I don't believe you can see that. I need to adjust this view a little bit so you are seeing exactly what I am seeing. Okay. And then we come down to the bottom of the page and we go to Next Steps. Okay, one thing that's very important that they do point out here, I do read some of the instructions. Don't try to power this thing through the little on-the-go USB plug. You need to power it with a real hefty power supply. the one down in the description will work. It needs to be one at least that good, because if you don't get enough power to this thing, it might boot, but it might not kick on all of the 128 cores that you've got working here. This is the second time we're going to click next step, and now we have instructions for Windows. I'm on Windows, so we're going to use that. Okay, very important. We need to start by formatting the SD card. You cannot format it using the Windows formatter. You have to download the SD formatter. So let me show you how to do this. On this page, you come down and it says SD memory card formatter for Windows. So we're going to click on that. And then as we click on that, it comes to the license page. To get the download to start, you have to accept the license agreement. Okay, so we accept, and you can see the download happened pretty quickly. Now this is a zip folder. We're going to open the zip folder. We're going to get the folder out of the zip folder, and we're going to drop that on our desktop. So I'm going to click to open the zip folder. It pops open. Now this is the contents. We need to grab the content and come down and drag and drop to our desktop. Okay, so that will put the uncompressed file on our desktop. Now I will move this out of the way, and now I will open that uncompressed folder that we put on the desktop. Now the uncompressed folder we put on our desktop is opened, and we will click on the SD card formatter setup.exe. This won't take very long to do. Okay, preparing to install. Okay, and then we say next. Okay, you know, I already installed it, so this might look a little different for you. I'll just say, you know, repair. All right, you would probably just say install, but it's already on mine, so it looks a little different. Okay, so we'll say install, and it goes boom, 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 and then finish. Okay, so that is finished. Now we want to launch it, so I will come down to my Windows button. I will come up. Mine is already at the top. You might have to scroll down a little bit, but you want to find the SD card formatter and click on it. Okay, so we say yes, we want to let SD formatter do things to our system. All right, now what it wants is it wants a card. So I will get my SD card. Okay, and as per my links below, don't use an old, slow, small one, man. I got a new Samsung 128 gig EVO. So Samsung 128 gig EVO. This is fast, it is new, it is a nice SD card. Now I'm putting it in some sort of little adapter so I can plug it into a USB on my computer. And so I will come over and plug in the USB. Got a happy little noise, that's nice. And I know that this is disk D. Okay, now what happens is it's very unhappy when that goes in, because it is a card that it hasn't seen before, or it's a card that's not formatted for Windows, and Windows just vomits when that happens. Okay, so because it is doing this, I'm going to have to click OK, cancel. OK, cancel. Okay. And it just keeps coming up, and every time I do this it gets worse and worse. Cancel, cancel. Believe me, if you hit cancel and OK enough, you will get rid of this stuff. I'm going to try to make it a little bit faster here by just clicking. Okay, and the reason is that this is not a Windows formatted card, and so Windows just goes crazy. And you know what? After we format the card with the SD formatter, this whole thing is going to happen again. Okay, this whole thing is going to happen again. Okay, I had to hit cancel like 50 times. And we will give it a second here. There is no pretty way to do this. Okay, so here I've got the SD card formatter up. I know that I am on drive D. Make sure you format the little SD card. Make sure that you don't format your hard drive. You see it's the 119 gig and it's the SD XC, so I know that's right. And so I am going to click Quick Format. Now, I am going to warn you, all that ugliness when I plug that thing in, it's going to do it again after the thing has been flashed. And so, you know, the other people that I see, this is just something that happens when Windows sees a card that it doesn't recognize, and it just goes crazy. Okay, we are formatted, so that is good news, and I'm going to click OK. All right, and then I'm going to close this. It is now formatted. All right, the next thing that we are going to have to do is we are going to have to download the software that is that flashes that memory card. And what that software is called, if I can find my mouse. You guys, I literally have 4 screens up here, so sometimes I lose my cursor. We need to search for Balena, B-A-L-E-N-A, Etched, Balena Etched, all right? And we have the Balena Etched home, which we will go to, okay? And then we have the download for Windows, okay? We have the download for Windows, and so that is what I am going to do. I am going to download for Windows. And then as I look there, it is starting to download. And I think that we will just wait here for it to download. Okay, this isn't going to take very long. Then after we download this, we're going to have to go download the image, download the operating system image, and that is going to take a few minutes. So once we start downloading that image, we're going to come over and we're probably going to start our build, but we'll see how fast it goes. Again, I won't make you work more than a few wait more than a few seconds. If it's more than a few seconds, what we will do is we will go start working on our physical build. Okay, so if you look, mine is downloaded. The exe is downloaded, so I'm going to go ahead and start that. Okay, I will agree to the license term. It is setting up. It is going. This is going pretty fast, so this is not going to be a problem. I think it launches itself here, if I remember right. But if you have to go look at it, it's called Balena Etched. All right. Looks like it's thinking like it might actually be launching it. Maybe. Okay, there it is. All right, so it did actually launch it. So now it wants you to select the image. We haven't downloaded the image yet, so we've got to go back to this getting started with Jetson, right? We're about on the 3rd page there. And then what we need to do is we have downloaded Etched. We have done the memory card formatter. We need to come down and let's see where we download the, it was probably up here at the top. Format your micro SD card. Okay, we have done that. Where is that silly image? Okay. It was probably on the page before. So let's go back to the previous step. Okay, do you see me here? Previous step. And let's look here. Micro SD card. Yeah, that's good. That's what we have. Okay, let's go next step. Where is the silly image, guys? I just did this like 5 minutes ago, so let's come to next step. Okay, here it is at the very top of the page. So we're on the page that says write image to the micro SD card. Okay, write image to the micro, getting started with the Jetson Nano, writing image to the micro SD card, and we need to download it here. So we're going to click on that, and you see the download started. And let's see how this is going. If it's going quickly, I will wait for it. If it's going slowly, we will go and kind of start working on our assembly. This actually is not going blindingly fast. And so let's switch over and start doing our physical assembly, and we will come back later to the to flashing the card. All right. So we are going to switch to a nice overhead view. Okay. And what I need you to do is I need you to get your Jetson Nano. All right. And we're going to open this up. I will not pretend that I haven't already opened it. And that's why it's kind of all wrinkled up. It's not nice and neat like what it came. But we are going to open it up and we are going to get it out. Okay. Now, I really strongly suggest that you get the acrylic case that I show down in the description, because this thing gets really hot. And look at this monster heat sink on there. Okay, even with the monster heat sink, it gets hot down here. So you would not want to just set this on the ground. And the nice acrylic case that I linked to down in the description really works well. And the neat thing is it comes with a fan, and you do really need a fan with this thing. So let's see if we can get started. What you'll see is the acrylic case comes with this paper on it, and the paper is actually a little bit hard to get off. And what I found is you really need kind of like a box cutter or something with a sharp blade, and you need to start on the corner and get under it. Once you get under the corner, then it is easy to peel off, but it is a little bit hard to get the peeling part started, okay? But once you get it started, just pull it off nice and easy so it doesn't tear, and you get all of that paper off of there. All right, we have that. Very good. Got to get it off the other side, so again, I'll come in and get it started with the knife. A little bit tricky there. Okay, I'm going to try a different corner. And I'm trying not to cut myself with this. I'm trying to really get under it and not scrape it off. I got it there. Okay, so now we will peel it. Okay. And this is the bottom that I'm peeling. I will admit I did the other ones before, so that you don't have to sit and watch me peel paper for an hour. Okay, so this is the base. So the base is the piece that has the yaboom.com on it. So this is the base. Now what we need to do is build a little platform for this to sit on. And so what I need you to do is out of the acrylic case kit, I need you to get these 4 short posts. The 4 short posts, okay? And then I need you to get 4 of the 8 small screws. And then you need a little Phillips head screwdriver. And we will build the little platform. Like I say, I'm not going to pause the video. We're just going to kind of hang out today, and we're going to work together. I have a small Phillips head screwdriver. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and kind of put the screws in if I can. Okay. It's always kind of tricky to get this done the easiest and best way. Okay, so I got the screws, 2 of the screws in, and see if I can get the other 2 in without losing those 2. I'll try to kind of hold them in as I get these other 2 in. Okay, I think I'll just leave it with the 3 for right now. And now I'll get these short posts and I will screw them in. Now where I am putting these on the inside, right? There's the 4 outside holes. I'm putting them in the 4 inside holes. Okay, because this will make a little platform for the Nano to sit on. Okay. I'm trying to be mindful of you guys having a good view of what I'm doing so I don't make you dizzy. I'm watching my hands, and I probably should be more watching the screen. Okay. So then one more. Okay. So you see how I have those 4 short posts, and they are on the inside 4 holes. I might as well, while we're at it, go ahead and now put the 4 large posts, and they will go, the 4 tall posts will go on, the 4 tall posts will go on the outside 4 holes. So my image is still downloading, and so we have a little time to get this done. Okay, so I'm going to come to this corner, and then I will screw this in. Okay, there we go. The acrylic case is very, very nice, and I really like to have something where you kind of protect the board. And you know, the Nano is not exactly a cheap thing, so we don't want to mess it up. Okay, I got the 2 on there. We'll come to the other side. Get this other corner. Guys, be real careful. These go on easy, so don't strip your screws. I mean, that's always what my dad taught me, was be careful and never cross thread something. But man, a lot of people these days, they're not very careful. Okay, do you see how I have the short platform and the long platform? My Jetson Nano image is still downloading, so we're going to continue the physical build here. Okay, you got to kind of make sure you get this going the right direction. So you see that you have 4 holes. You have 4 holes in the Nano board, and we need to kind of see what direction these things go. Okay, if I try to put it like this, do you see how this is overhanging? That's not right. I need to put it the other way. If I put it this way and line up the holes, you see the whole thing fits. So it's pretty obvious the way that this has to go. When I put these things together, I always like to start with opposite corners. All right, so I'll put a screw here, and then I'll put a screw here. So kind of go corner to corner, and I find that that works well. Okay, so I will get this thing lined up, being mindful to not cross thread this thing. And I kind of missed it. Okay. Actually, something like this is kind of fun to put together, if you ask me. I sort of enjoy it, but I did miss the hole. It's a little tricky because I'm trying to leave it where you can see it, and then I can see it at the same time. And I'm trying to not cover up the work. Okay, I just need to get it lined up and come straight down. First one's always the hardest. All right, I got the first one in. Okay, and now we'll come over to the opposite corner. You see, now that it's kind of snug, this one will be easy to go in. It's also nice, this is kind of a magnetic screwdriver, and that helps a little bit. You see how I'm just being real careful to not cross thread it. Okay, we got 2 in there. We should have 2 more. These should go in easy because now those holes are lined up. I keep checking over on my image. My image is still downloading, so we're going to work on the physical assembly. Okay, this needs to be tightened up a little bit. That one post was a little shaky. Okay. All right, so that looks pretty good, and I still have 1 more screw to get the Nano in. Wow, this is really nice. I really like this acrylic case, and you see how it gives you that little gap between the board and the case, and that's really good for airflow. So that is very nice. Okay, I look and I believe that I am ready to flash. Are you guys, is your guys is ready to flash? I hope so. Let me talk a little bit. Maybe you guys, I'll give you a little bit of a second too. I went ahead and I assembled the camera case before we started, just so the camera containers, just so that this wouldn't be like a painfully long video. I'm shooting to have this video about an hour, I hope. Let me see if I can get you focused here somehow. That doesn't want to focus on it. I want to kind of show you how to do this. Okay, how do you know? There's 3 pieces that you sort of sandwich the Raspberry Pi camera. The camera, the lens goes through the piece that is kind of T-shaped. Okay, do you see the piece that has the T-shaped hole in it? Oh man, this focus is going to kill me. Let me get it focused. Okay, there it is. So you see the T-shaped hole that the lens goes through. On the back side is the plate that just has the small square hole. Nothing goes through that square hole. don't try to put that square hole on the lens. This is the back. And then in the middle is kind of just a plexiglass ring, okay? And the ring I have towards the back. So I have the back plate, the ring, and then I have the Raspberry Pi camera, and I have the front plate. And then there's those 4 plastic screws that let you screw that together. Okay, I'm really gonna try to be mindful about getting you guys a good focus. Okay, there it is. All right, so now the top is assembled, and I have this ready to plug in. I will plug this in a minute, but not quite yet. All right, I just have a few more minutes. I don't want to start on the next job because it should be just a couple of minutes and we should be ready to flash that card. And once we start the card flash, then we can come back with our physical assembly. Okay, so we will pop open, and I need to give you a view here of my desktop now. Okay. We will pop open the Etcher, which should have already been running, okay? And the kind of goofy thing that I don't like very much is, because I remember Etcher, but you got to remember that the thing is called B-A-L-E-N-A, Balena Etcher. So you got to look under B and not E to find it. Okay, and let me come back to my browser and see where we are. Okay, there it is. So close. All right, for me, you see it just showed that it was downloaded. Okay, so now, the good news is you don't have to extract it from the zip folder. You just point at the zip folder and the Etcher knows what to do. So we need to select the image. And for me, it went to Downloads. And then that is Jetson Nano. And you can see I've downloaded it several times. I am using the 32.2-2019-7-16. And so I'm going to click on that zip folder. Okay, I click on that zip folder. So I have now selected the image. Now I need to select the target. Well, the target was what? For me, it was D. It was that card that we just formatted. And I will say continue. And now I will say flash and say, are you sure? Yes. Okay, it asked me whether I was sure that I wanted to let it flash. I said yes, it's okay to let it flash. And now I'm just going to pause here a second and make sure that it's going to do that. Okay, make sure it's going to do that. Okay, and I have a problem with a blinky screen. Let me see if I can get a better browser view. Okay. Let me see if I can fix this over here. I want to get it where you can see what I'm doing and see it well. Okay, that's good. Now let's come back and look at the Etcher and make sure. Okay, so it's flashing now. All right, I'm going to warn you that when it finishes flashing, Windows is going to vomit again and throw up like those 100 windows, and we'll just close them and everything will be okay. All right, so now let's continue with our physical build. Okay, if you ordered the gear that I showed down below, you got this nice wireless module, okay? And the one that I linked to, it had the wireless module, the Wi-Fi module, and it had the antennas. The nice thing about the acrylic case that I showed you is it already has the holes in the acrylic case for the antenna. So you can just put those antenna stubs through the holes in that acrylic piece and then tighten down, and it already has the little very small wires coming out. All right, the trickiest part of this build, and so I did it while you were not watching because I don't like to curse in front of people, and I realized that I would probably curse the people that had built this, but it is very, very hard. It was very hard to get these tiny little antenna connectors plugged into the Wi-Fi board. And the way that you have to do it is you have to line it up. You have to line the little plug up And let's see if we can get some focus going here. Okay, there, that is great. You have to line up the little plug to the little plug, and then you have to put your thumbnail on it, and you have to press it with a large amount of force such that it's actually awkward, like you feel like I am pressing way too hard, okay? But because you have to press that hard, you have to make sure that you're lined up, or you could bend the connector. So you've got to look very closely, like get it right up in your face, make sure that it is lined properly, and then with your thumbnail press very hard, and you'll feel the little snap. And then I did that with both of those. Okay, so now both of those are not in focus. Okay. So both of those are connected there. Now what we need to do is we need to plug the Wi-Fi into the Nano. Now this is not hard, but you do need to be careful. All right. So you see, this is the heat sink. This is the side of the heat sink that is along the edge. There are two screws there. You need to take those two screws out. So I will bring in my little Phillips head screwdriver, and I will loosen the first screw and the second screw. Okay. Now, what you have to do now is right here and here there are two gray clips, and those clips have the board and the heat sink snug down there. You don't want to just pull this up because you will break those clips. You've got to be very careful and pull the clips out. You've got to gently pull the clips out, and then this part will be allowed to pop up. So you've got to pull these two clips out, and then did you see how that popped up kind of naturally? Now we just slide this out like that, okay? And then here is where we are going to put the card. The nice thing is there is only one way for it to go in there. So we're going to get our little card, and we're going to bring it over here. And you can see that you've got these two little short things have to fit in the short side like that. But don't put it in yet. You just got to kind of get it oriented. There is a screw here that you have got to take all the way out. Okay, there's a screw in the center you have to take all the way out. Now we bring the board in, making sure that it's aligned the right direction, and now you've got to kind of put it in there. It goes in pretty easy. Now you have to press it down and bring that little black screw back in. Okay, and it's all lined up nice, being mindful not to cross thread anything. Okay, there, now that's in. Now you've got to kind of mind these cables. Okay, you've got to kind of mind the cables. And I believe they're going to come off the back side here. And so I just kind of want to tuck these cables almost, let's bring them out, and then we'll just kind of manage them later, because I really don't want them touching that heat sink any more than they have to, because this heat sink gets really hot, and I don't want to put any more heat on these tiny little flimsy wires than I have to. So now what you have to do is you have to kind of come in at an angle. I just lost my screw. Let me take those screws out. Okay, we have to kind of come in at an angle and press down into the slot that we came out of. And the slot is kind of high. You got to see the slot is kind of high. Let me see if I can sort of show you. You see the slot is up here towards the top. And you come in at an angle, and pushing down at an angle you go in. And now you press this down, and then those two gray clips clip it. So once it's clipped, now we're going to come and we're going to put those two little silver screws back in. And these do not appear, at least mine do not appear to be magnetic screws. Okay, now I'm checking back over at the flasher, our etcher, and mine has already etched. It's already flashed the operating system, and it's now validating. And so this is kind of coming out nice. We're going to have our assembly done about the time that is going to be ready to go. We're going to have this thing booted, guys. We're going to have this thing booted. Oh, man, you aggravating thing. This would have been nice to be a magnetic thing. You see, it's really close to the heat sink, so it's kind of hard to get your fingers in there. Okay, so I have that down. Kind of snug it. These are into, you know, metal things, and so you can snug it down pretty good. Okay, that looks pretty darn good. What I'm going to go ahead and do now is I'm going to go ahead and put the fan on. Okay, and again, the fan came with that little kit. Okay, so with the acrylic kit, you have a fan, and you should have 4 larger screws in your acrylic kit. Okay, guys, you want the fan to blow on the heatsink, not suck on the heatsink. So you see the tag, that goes down. Okay, that goes down, I do believe. Okay, I believe it goes down. And then you can see that you have the little indents for the screws to go in. I need to move that. You see how you have those little recess places for the screws. And so we're going to come and we are going to go like this. And I will tell you, the screws do not go in really very easily. It is almost like the screws are not exactly the right size. Okay. Okay, that's in there. I wish these screws would go in a little further, but it's kind of like they're sort of showing a lot of resistance. Maybe this one I'm getting further in. Maybe I was just a little bit timid with that one. Okay, and you know what? I am pretty sure I'm right, but let's just make a note to make sure that the fan, when we turn it on, is blowing on there. Okay, that's pretty good. Okay, now we need to plug the fan in, and it's not too hard because you can see that there's one place here. Let me see if I can get a little light on this. Okay, so you see between the Ethernet connector and the heat sink, there is 4 pins right there. That's where it plugs in. And if you look at the plug, you can only plug it in one direction. There's a little guide. And let's see if we can show that. Okay. You see the little guide. Let me get it started. Okay. So you see it's all lined up, and there is a little guide there, and then we will press and it snaps in. Okay, it snaps in, and then I'll try to kind of get that cable a little bit out of the way there. Okay, when we put the case together, it will be out of the way. When we put the case together, it will be out of the way. All right, so now we're going to kind of complete our assembly. So this back acrylic piece I'm going to bring in, and I want to try to get these Wi-Fi wires sort of out of the way. You want to kind of manage those cables as best you can. I think maybe it's almost like I kind of got them crossed over. Okay, I think I've got to get it like this. Okay. You can kind of fool around with yours as much as you like. And let me make sure if that's the right thing. I might be trying to put it in the wrong spot. No, that is the one place that it is going to go. Let's see here. Okay. There it goes. And then once you kind of have it up, then do the best you can to get the cables out of the way, because you don't want the cables interfering with the camera case or any of that other stuff. And that actually looks pretty good. Okay, so you see how we've got that the Wi-Fi goes towards the back there. All right. Now, I am just still not exactly happy with how this thing is looking, but I think that's how it is going to have to go on there. Okay, there we go. All right, so we got that. Now, very, 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 very important. With your acrylic kit, you've got one of these very small little jumpers. You need to put the jumper over here. On my right, behind the power plug, there are 2 pins that are sticking up. You need to put the jumper on those 2 pins. So you just do it and you press it down firmly. And what that does is that, let's see if we can show it here. Okay, there is that jumper. And give it a chance to focus. There is that jumper that we put on right there. And you have to do that because what that does is that enables that jumper enables the power to come from that power plug. And that's where you want to power it from. So we have that. Okay, and for me, my disk is flashed over there, so we'll be going back over there in just a minute. But let's go ahead and finish our build. Now we should have the other 3 sides, the acrylic case, the other 3 sides. This one with the hole in it, the complete hole, that goes over here and it goes to the side with the USB cables or the USB plugs. And so let's see if I can get that in there. Okay. All right. And that does not quite go. You know what? I have this thing in there, I do believe, backwards. All right, so I've got to back up here. I've been kind of struggling, but this is not right as far as these 4 holes because I am too far over. You see, this is overhanging and that isn't in, so I think it has to go the opposite direction. So let's see. That's okay. That's just going to be these 4 screws. So I'm taking out the 4 screws that go to those small pillars. I thought I was fighting with that Wi-Fi cable a little bit too much. It really looked like I had it right, but I must have had it wrong. Okay. Good thing is our memory card is ready to roll. Okay, so let's take this out. Okay, and now let's flip this around this way, and let's see if things are any happier. Now, darn it, when I do it that way, I am projecting too far forward, and if I do it this way, you know what I am afraid? You know what I am very, very afraid? I am very, very afraid that there was something that mattered that I didn't think that mattered. Do you see that these are very close? Let me see. You see these are very close and those are further away. And so what happened is this whole thing is upside down. It does matter. What you need is you need the post to come the other way. And so we are going to have to take a minute and we're going to have to move all these posts upside down. In something like this, I just assume that there would have been symmetry, that like it would have gone either way, but that's not the case. But I think this will be pretty quick. You guys might have just randomly done it the right way. Did you do it the right way randomly, or did you see that it was wrong and do it the right way? Okay. Okay, this is going pretty quick. We will have this done in no time. The good news is it's going to go fast here pretty soon because we got the fan on. We've got the memory card flashed. We've just got to put the finishing touches on this acrylic case. And we're going to have this thing booted before you know it. We are going to have this thing booted before you know it. Okay. Notice how I've kind of abandoned the screwdriver. You reach the point that it's just, you got to kind of go wild man on it. You know, you just go wild man on it. And you don't worry about the neat little screwdriver. You don't worry about the fire extinguisher or this, you know, all that sort of stuff. You're just trying to get this thing put together. Okay, and I'll show you what we should have looked at. I can see now that what mattered, that I didn't know mattered, is the www.yaboom. Okay, like when you look at it like this, you see, you should see the www.yaboom.com, that's right on the outside. The opposite side is the inside. Now we are going to get this thing going. So we do have to be mindful of which direction. Okay, that is the wrong direction because it's overhanging in the front. And so if I turn it around now, okay, nothing is overhanging anywhere. Nothing is overhanging anywhere. So that is going to work now. I told you I don't read instructions, and that is why sometimes I just like to tear into this thing, man. I just like to rip into them. And I am not one to go slow and read instructions. All right, so I do be mindful about doing the opposite corners first. Okay. Okay, these last two should be all lined up good, so this should go quickly. There we go. And one more. I love this little acrylic case. My only complaint about it is that I don't feel like those screws that came with it for the fan are exactly the right size for the heat sink. You know, I kind of feel like that they didn't go all the way in, and it's okay because it's secure, but I just kind of like things when they're all right. Now, I do want to be mindful that when I turn this thing on to make sure that it is blowing. And, all right, so now let's see if I can get this back on. Okay, yeah, you see the back is going on, and those screws are fitting much better. They're not. I mean, the posts are not running into the heat sink anymore. Okay, so you see, the posts don't touch the heat sink when you have it right. Now, it's this one that has the hole in it, and the two tabs go down, and so those go down, and when those two go down, with a little luck, this thing should come together. Okay, you got to kind of snap them. All right, so that front one is in now. Okay, that looks good. Let's get the back one back in. This is kind of like one of those things where you really need like 3 hands to do this. Now this one goes on the side of, you see, if I put it on this side, all the pins aren't exposed, so I know that it needs to go on this side, I believe. Maybe not. Okay, the question is which one is left and which one is right. You want to make sure that that camera case is exposed. I mean the camera cord. So you see that fully exposes the slot for the camera, and this exposes most of the GPIO pins. I probably would have liked to have had two that were a little bigger. This one is kind of crowding me a little bit, but it's more important to me that I have access to that camera slot. So let's get that pulled up a little bit. The wire is kind of down between the pieces of the acrylic case in a way that is not good. Okay, that's down in there. I have two sides very nicely, three sides, four sides. Okay, I'll try to get the Wi-Fi cables out of the way. The Wi-Fi antenna cables out of the way. And now I'm going to put the lid on for the whole thing. And then trying to not squeeze these cables. So giving them a place to go. Okay, I'm going to try to get some of the screws in just so that we can kind of get the thing secured a little bit. If you had someone come and hold and help, it would make this go a lot easier. How painful is this to watch? Are you guys having... I mean, this isn't too frustrating, but I just wish I could make it go smoother for the video, but you're probably kind of going through the same thing I am, so we'll just sit here. I think once I get the first screw in, it should be easier. Okay, I just don't quite have it aligned right, so we gotta try to get everything plugged in again. Everything snapped in. Okay, I have got an alignment problem, so I think I've got to take this off, and I've got to come back, and I've got to rethink. Okay, this one maybe goes... Okay, this one goes like this, and then this one goes like this. Okay, I understand what was wrong. Okay, look at my GPIO pins. Okay, this part of the acrylic goes on this side, and then you will have access to all the GPIO pins, and then over here this one goes over the plug, and you will have full access to the camera slot, the slot for the camera cable. Okay. Now I have this wire that is causing me grief. We'll come in, and I'm going to try to get my first screw in. I think it's going to go this time. I will show you after I get this together, because there's like which side, there's the problem of which side does which piece of plastic go on, and then, you know, it can go this way or it can go that way. So there's like a lot of different ways that this can come together, and only one of them is right. Okay, now I need to come over here, and this one by the camera is going to be a little tricky to do. Okay, I believe I got this one in. I've got two of them in. Now I just got to get this lined up with that and then down. Okay, and this is kind of tricky here. We'll get this. Okay, 3M. We're going to be booting this soon, guys. Don't lose hope. Don't lose hope. If you guys don't have the acrylic case, your life is probably much easier if you did not get the acrylic case, but the acrylic case will be well worth it in the end. And I really don't, I don't blame the guys that made the acrylic case. But, okay, there, finally I got it snapped. Now, I've got 2 screws in and I've got it completely snapped together, so now it's going to go easy. I don't blame them for it because it does fit together nicely, but it's just like there's all these different orientations, and it's not completely clear which one goes which way. But I'll show it to you so that for sure that you will get it the right way. Okay, we are assembled. Okay, so let's look at the side with the GPIO pins. Okay, the side with the GPIO pins, from here all the way over, it's open. Okay, from there all the way over, let's get you a focus. Okay, okay, do you see how all the GPIO pins are completely exposed? And then on this side, the acrylic is here over the part where the plug is, and then the camera cable slot is completely open. Now we're going to put the camera in. Okay, when you put the camera in, this is the key. When you plug the camera cable in, this is the key. The blue faces you. The blue faces you, and those connectors face the heat sink. Okay, the blue faces you, and what you have to do is you have to pop up. Let's see if I can do it. Let's get it focused. Okay, you have to pop up with your thumbnail on both sides, there and there. Do you see how mine is popped up? Now blue towards you, and you slide it down into that slot. Okay. Do you see how I'm now down into that slot? Okay. I'm now down into that slot. Then I press it down, left, snap it in, and right. Both of them snapped in like that. Okay. Now, I do believe I have this thing all set up. Okay. Now what I want you to see is you could mount the camera on this side, or you could mount the camera on this side. You could mount it on either side, but this kind of works okay for me, like this. And you have a little bit of an awkward bend in the cable. I'm trying to see if there's any other way that I could manage that cable, but for right now I'm going to call that good. Let's see. Yeah, you know what I'm going to I'm trying to think if I could run it back and then loop it around. Let's see. I just don't like that. I don't like the way that cable looks. So let's see if there's any way that you could go under. And then bring it back around. Actually, I think I'm going to do that, because the one thing I want to be very cognizant of, I don't want the cable to be in the picture, and sometimes the cables are a little bit wider angle view than what you would think. Okay, so blue is towards me. It is plugged all the way into the slot, and now I press down. Okay, now it's all the way in on both sides. It's pressed in, and by running it around like that, there is no way that that cable's going to be in the field of view when I turn the camera on. Okay, guys, this has been a little bit painful, but we have it put together, and I figure if you watched me and suffered through it, then you won't feel bad if you're suffering. Okay, so now let's start talking about getting ready to boot this thing. Okay, let's talk about getting ready to boot this thing. If you ordered the same kit I have, you got the wireless mouse and you got the wireless keyboard if you ordered the stuff in my link, okay? And so if you look at the wireless mouse and you open it up, there is a dongle in the mouse. You get that dongle, okay? And that dongle works for the mouse and the keyboard. Then you come over and plug it into one of your USB ports. So we're going to go ahead and plug that in. And I like the wireless. If you didn't get the wireless, probably any USB keyboard will work. Not just any wireless keyboard will work, but any USB keyboard will work. Any USB mouse will work. Okay, we've got that in. Now I need the video cable, which should be somewhere here close by. It is an HDMI cable. Okay, so here is my HDMI cable. It goes in the bottom plug. So we will put it in like that. Okay, that's in. And now we are going to get ready to power this thing up. Okay, but before we power it up, we need to put our memory card in. So we will come back to our view over here. And remember how we're going to have all these errors. So cancel. Okay. Cancel. Okay. Do you guys have as many of these as I did? The first couple of times I did, it's like every time I do this, it gives me 5 more than the time before it. So the first time you might have just like 5, and then if you do it several times. Okay, you guys go ahead and flash you another card while we're moving forward, because I want you to have one card that you're just doing this series of lessons on. Okay, one card that you're just doing this series of lessons on. Okay, so flash another card if you want to go out and play with things yourself. Okay, now all that is shut down, so I'm going to get my SD card, right? Get my SD card, and I will come back to the view where you can see from the camera the SD card, and you come to the side with the Wi-Fi antennas, okay? You come to the side with the Wi-Fi antennas, and it's underneath that top board. It's a little slot, and you put the connectors towards the top board, and you slide it in that slot, okay, like that. Connectors towards the top board. Okay, connectors towards the top board, and it goes in real easy, and it's one of those little spring-loaded ones that you like that, okay? So now the memory card is in. We've got the mouse and keyboard hooked up, and we have the HDMI hooked up. So guys, we are just about ready to plug this thing in. This is kind of scary. This is kind of scary. All right, we're going to plug it in. Remember, make sure that you put the jumper on. Remember the little jumper between those pins? Make sure you have the jumper. And now we will come over here and we will plug the power in. Okay, and then we'll come over. You see the fan came on. That was good. I see some little lights coming on. Boom! We are booting. NVIDIA, we are booting. Okay, I'm going to see if I really got this thing in the right way. I do believe I have the fan in the right way. I really think I have the fan in the right way. Okay. I am trying to figure out, this is the darndest thing. Do I have the fan in the right way or not? I'm trying to see. I think that fan is in the right way. Yeah, the fan is in the right way. So the label goes down, and that's pulling the air. Yeah, the fan's in the right way. That's the one thing I was worried about. Okay, now let's get this thing booted. Okay, your mouse is not going to work initially, so what you need to do is you need to take this off. You need to take the battery out. You need to put the battery back in, and that should bring the mouse to life. Yeah, you see the mouse is to life. Okay, NVIDIA end user agreement. Yes, I accept the terms and I continue. All right, guys, we got this thing going. The acrylic case was the hardest part, I do believe. Okay, We're going to do English and then continue. Okay. And then we're going to do English, English. You can use the language of your choice. Okay, look at this. The good news is that we got the Wi-Fi working because it's asking us what Wi-Fi we want to use. So we did that Wi-Fi installation correctly. And I do believe that this one does not have a password, so we'll just connect to that. Okay. Give it a second. But that's really good news because, boom, immediately it found the Wi-Fi. If you have any problems with the Wi-Fi, you might start with a Ethernet cable. But I like the minimum possible. Okay. Connect to this network. Connect. I hope I did not speak too soon. I hope this thing boots right up, connects up without a problem. Okay, yes, it's asking me for a time zone. I am in Central Time Zone, and we'll continue. Okay. I'm fairly transparent with who I am, so I will not hide my identity. Okay. I will be my initials, PJM, and then I'm going to choose a password. It likes my password. It's a good one. Okay, guys, I'm going to say login automatically. If you're leaving this thing up and running on a network, you need to be concerned about the security settings you use. But right now, I'm not worried about the security settings. I'm worried about making it where it's as easy as possible for me to use for instructions. So I'm going to say login automatically, continue. It's doing the system configuration. That's good. We're getting there. Okay, I'll tell you what I have found is on the first boot up, as we're configuring this thing, on the next thing, a lot of times it hangs because it's sort of like it leaves it in configuration mode, and then when it tries to update it, it hangs because it's like locked. And what I found is if it hangs, what you can just do is you can just unplug it and reboot. Okay, so if it hangs here in a minute, you can just reboot. Right now, I don't think it's hung. Right now, I think it's legitimately configuring itself. How painful was this? Are you guys going to hate me for this video because it took me so long to get the case put together? I hope not. All right. Let's see here. That part went well. Okay, this is the part that I found that it hangs on sometimes. So you guys leave me a message and let me know if it's hanging for you as well. You see, what you don't want to do is you don't want to like lose patience and like kill the thing before it's done. Okay, you don't want to kill it before it's done, but I have found that mine hangs here. So I'm going to do the cancel. All right. And now it looks like it is booting. It says, please complete system configuration. So I think it was probably doing an update. So I think when we open this thing, let's go ahead and do an apt-get update. But we'll do that in a minute. We'll kind of play around with this for a little while, and then we'll do that. Okay, we got the Ubuntu booting. We've got the NVIDIA. This thing should pop up here any minute now. Okay, look at that. Look at that. All right, we have a desktop. We have a desktop. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can. I'm going to kill these keyboard shortcuts. You guys can read through this if you want, but we're going to not be using the desktop a lot. We're going to be going. To the terminal here pretty quickly. Let me just do a right mouse click. So I'm doing a right mouse click and open terminal. And what I am going to do, I'm going to do apt. Let me get over here and close this thing. Seems to still be kind of in the setup mode. Okay, I'm going to kill that window. And then I'm going to come over to the terminal. How did I get to the terminal? Right mouse click, open terminal. And then I'm going to do an apt-get update, because I think this was what it was trying to do. Apt-get update. Guys, when we really start moving forward, I'll make my font bigger on the terminal window so you can see it. But right now it's apt-get space update. Oh, it wants a sudo super user, sudo sudo apt-get, okay, update. Okay, now it wants my password again. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change that. Okay, I'm going to change that where every time I put a sudo command, I don't want it asking me for my password, because again, I'm not so much worried about security as kind of teaching you quickly. And so while this thing is updating, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to right mouse click and I'm going to open another terminal. Okay, and on this other terminal, I am going to type something. I want to fix it where it is not every time asking me for my password. So I'm going to say sudo, sudo. Man, let me look up here. I just want to see if I can. Give me just a second here. Let me look at my preferences. Okay, and under these preferences, I am going to see if I can find a font on here somewhere. If I don't find it quickly, I will move on. I do not, let's see, custom font. Okay, I will make this like bold, and I will make this like 20. Okay, select, close. Okay, you should see this better now, right? Okay, so I'm not going to apologize for that because you need to be able to see this. Don't send. We can kind of update this a few times and those things will kind of take care of themselves, but we're going to go sudo and then visudo, sudo visudo. Now it's going to ask me for my password. Okay, now we need to edit this. So with the down arrow on the keyboard, I need to go to the bottom. All right. Now, what I need to type is I need to type an O, the letter O, okay? And that gives me a new line. Did you see when I typed just the letter O, it gave me a new line. Now I need to backspace. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this to where you don't have to put your password in every time. So my username was PJM. You put your username there. Okay, what was your username? And then space. And then all caps, ALL equals, open parentheses, again, ALL, all uppercase, and then space. And then no, PASSWD, and then colon, oops, that's not a colon, colon, ALL. So let's look at that. Your username, mine was PJM, space, all uppercase ALL equals, open parentheses, all uppercase ALL, close parentheses, space, no, PASSWD, colon, all. Okay, now I need to hit a shift. I need to make a colon. Okay, I need to do a colon, and then I need to do a, how do I get out of this? Okay, I need to hit, I'm sorry, make sure that you have the all, no colon, hit escape. Okay, once you've hit escape, then hit WQ, enter. All right, WQ, enter. That didn't do it. Escape, WQ. Okay, enter. Didn't like it. So let's try a colon. All right, after you hit the escape, hit the colon. Right, after you hit the escape, hit the colon. Then WQ, enter. All right, let's try that again to make sure that you've got it. So how did we get there? We said sudo and then VISUDO. Okay, you do that. You use the down arrow on your keyboard to go all the way to the bottom. Okay, and then when you get all the way to the bottom, you add your username, space, all, blah, blah, blah. Now once you do that, you click escape. Once you've clicked escape, then colon. Then on colon, you put W, Q, and enter, and boom. All right, so that's done. It should not ask me for a password anymore. So we are booted. What's the other thing I want to do? I just want to do a little configuration here. I'm going to do the update again because I had that error message. And so let's go sudo apt get update. And I hope I don't get an error this time, because you remember it kind of hung when we were doing the configuration and we restarted. And so we want to make sure, okay, it's done and we don't have any errors. So I think we're probably good to go on the operating system now. Let's see what we can do here. We can come over here, and what cool things do we have? I kind of, let's see, kind of lost my desktop. I'm going to do a reboot, okay, because I don't see any desktop icons. And so let's open a terminal. I'm not getting an open terminal either. Okay. Okay, so we are not perfectly configured here. So I'm going to do a Control-Alt-T. That brought up a terminal. And I'm going to do a sudo shut down now, because I didn't get a clean install there. And so I'm going to do a sudo shutdown now, and then I will reboot it, and then hopefully it'll reboot in the good, you know, all set up. But every time I've done this, I've followed the NVIDIA's process exactly, and I get to that point that the thing hangs, and I've waited a long time and it just hangs there. All right, so I'm going to now unplug it. I'm going to plug it back in. I told you, man, you saw the introduction, you know, give up all hope, ye who enter here. Abandon all hope. I warned you, this is not like an this is not like an Arduino. It's a little bit tricky to get going, but I think it should work this time. I'm just hoping that my desktop icons come up this time. Okay, I've got desktop icons. Now I lost my mouse again, so unplug it, plug it back in. I will tell you, if that bothers you, you can use a wired keyboard. Okay, I should be able to click one time on the, oh no, I haven't made this a one-click machine yet. That's the next thing I want to do. I want to make it a one-click machine. So I'm going to come over here to this upper left icon, and I am going to say setup, okay, or settings. Where are my settings? Okay, there they are, settings. So I'm going to start with just my plain old settings. Okay, let's look at these settings. So the good news is on Wi-Fi, it sees and it's connected, so it says I'm connected. On Bluetooth, it doesn't see the Bluetooth. I think that Wi-Fi card we put in has Bluetooth, and this system isn't recognizing it. But hey, it's off. Let's see if I can turn it on here. Okay, it's not letting me turn it on, but if I come up here to this Bluetooth, it's on, it's visible, and it sees things. So this is one of those quirky little things when you have brand new technology, that it is recognizing the Bluetooth is working, but just in the system setups, it's not seeing it. So that's okay, because up there where it counts, it sees it. Let's look at privacy and see what it says. Screen lock. I do not want the screen lock. I want the screen lock off, because I'll be in the middle of teaching you and the screen will go dark. So I want to turn that off. Location services, usage history, problem reporting, connectivity, checking. Okay, that's all right. Okay, that looks good. Power we got to look at. Blank screen. I do not want to go to a blank screen. I want to go to a blank screen never, and Wi-Fi is on, so that's good. Network. Okay. That looks good. That looks good. I'm just kind of going through here a little bit. Okay, so these were the settings. Now I want to come back and I want to go to the system settings. Okay, let's look through these again. Let's go back to power and make sure don't suspend. Okay, you don't want the thing to turn off, or at least I don't. Let's look at what else? Let's see if this Bluetooth it recognizes. Okay. Okay, this one, it seems to recognize that it's got Bluetooth working, so I think that's good. And certainly it seems to be working up here because it's seeing things that are in the room, so that's good. Okay, what else do I need to do? Let's look at system details. Okay, default applications, that looks good. Removal okay, there's not anything too interesting there. Security and privacy. Okay, I do not want to require, this is security and privacy. I don't want to require a password when I'm waking from suspend. Okay, let's go back and look at the power settings again. Just little things that make this a little bit easier to play with. Okay. Go back to all settings. Let's kill that. Now I'm going to come up to the file cabinet. I'm going to open a window. And what you can see is this is just kind of like a Microsoft Windows, right? You can kind of start navigating with your folders. But what I'm really interested in, up in the upper left of your screen, there's the files, and the second files come down and say preferences. Okay, here what I want to do is I want to see if I can make this a one-click machine. So I'm going to go to behavior and make it a one-click machine because my finger is old and I only have so many clicks left in it. So if I have one click instead of two clicks, it's going to last twice as long. So I'm going to make it a one-click machine. So now if I come up, I should be able to click and open the Windows browser. I mean, I should be able to open Chromium. Okay, it's going to ask me for a password the first time I open it. So I'm going to tell it, I'm going to give it a password. I think I'm setting a password here. Okay, and now let's see if this thing will work. www.toptechboy.com. Okay, boom. All right, so Wi-Fi is working, browsing the web. It's kind of nice to be able to browse the web here on the Nano because as you're typing in commands and doing things, you can pop open a browser. Now, almost everything that we're going to be doing is from the terminal. Okay, and so it's going to be from the terminal, but it's nice as you're doing things in the terminal to be able to come over to a browser because sometimes it's easier to copy and paste commands. So, okay, this is looking really good. Man, we have made a lot of progress. Now, there's a couple of things you can just play around with. This blue icon here is like a word processor. It looks a lot like Microsoft Word. Okay, if you're familiar with Word, this is pretty similar. Okay, so you've got a browser. I really, though, I'll be honest with you, I don't know why I would use a computer like this for word processing. I really don't. Okay, you've also got a spreadsheet. Okay, so you guys between this week and next week, you can play around with these things if you want. You can kind of play around with it. But again, don't install anything. Don't upgrade anything. Don't do any of that. Don't change versions of anything. If you're going to change anything, go do a separate memory card, and this memory card leave just for these classes. So let me look on here. I kind of made a list of things I hope to do. This was a long lesson, but I think we needed to at least get this far. So we've got it where it doesn't ask you for a password. We've got it updated. We've got it flash. We've got it a one-click machine. And so next week, what I want to do is I want to start teaching you a little bit about the terminal. So if you already know Linux, then you're going to be bored. But, you know, we've got to quit doing the clickety on these file folders, and we've got to learn how to do things from the command line, from the terminal. And so I'm going to sort of show you how to navigate around and do things from the command line. Then the lesson following that, we'll probably start getting into Python. And we've got to get a Python environment configured that is consistent with the Jetson Nano. And probably about lesson 4 or lesson 5, we'll actually start doing some programming and start making this thing do some cool stuff. Okay, man, this was kind of a hard lesson, wasn't it? It was kind of a hard lesson. But don't say I didn't warn you. Don't say I didn't warn you. I warned you. This was going to be a hard lesson. But it's going to be worth it. It's really going to be worth it. Guys, did any of you get your Nano booted with these lessons? Did any of you get it going? Did you have as much trouble with the acrylic case as I did? Okay. Think about giving us a thumbs up. Think about subscribing to the channel. If you subscribe, make sure that you hit the bell so that you get notifications. I'll probably be trying to do some live streams along the way so that we can kind of talk to each other about how this is going and where it's going. And again, really appreciate you guys that are helping me out over on Patreon. It really helps me get more gear, upgrade my system, continue to make better and better videos. Okay, this is Paul McWhorter from TopTechBoy.com. I will talk to you guys later.